And he said, what people don't realize is when we made that touchdown catch, Dallas still had a chance to beat us, and we did. So we go back, and we were almost in field goal range, but we had a miscue, and the game was over. But then we had that third chance when we played the Redskins, and we go up there and didn't do very well, and so we lost 3 straight NFC title games to 3 different teams. But we had a very solid football team. Our problem was we kept turning the ball over too much, and we had a ton of penalties. But we would always overcome it because we scored a lot of points.
Yeah. Well, speaking of overcoming issues, I read a great story about you and your college coach at Winston-Salem State, how y'all didn't even have a locker room after your first year.
Well, yeah, that was part of the problem. When I arrived at Winston-Salem State University, we had no locker room, no weight room. Practice fields were substandard, and we were trying to figure out how could we be successful in what I would call a third world environment. I mean, literally. And I was completely devastated by the fact that we just didn't have much to work with. And so we found a way to go undefeated my sophomore year. And after which we decided to engage in a creative protest. We marched onto the president's residence. He wasn't there, so we went to the administration building, and the vice chancellor for student affairs came out with a notepad and says, "Look, what is it that you guys want?" I said,
"Well, y'all were in full pads."
In full pads.
That's great.
And so we said, "Well, first of all, look at us. Look at the equipment. Look at what we're wearing. It's got to change. We need a locker room. We need a weight room. We need better facilities. We need better equipment." And so we were able to get those things, but we had to win first to do it. And so that's what we did.
This is Deconstructing Dallas. We have former Dallas Cowboy fullback Timmy Newsome on with us, and we'll talk a little bit more in the second segment about some of your business acumen and things that we could probably learn from you on that standpoint. But I was looking on social media and saw recently that you and your teammates had a chance to get together with Tony Dorsett on his birthday, and just looking at the faces and how much fun it looked like everyone had. I wanted to know a little bit more about that gathering, if that's something you guys do from time to time, or if that had been a while before everybody.
Well, we don't do it as often as we should. Tony Hill sent me a text message about 3 or 4 days before his birthday and says, "Look, we'd like to get together. T doesn't get out very much these days. Would you be interested in attending his birthday party?" I said, "Sure." And so I got some of my friends together I played football with, and we all collected there for his birthday. And it was really a joy to see everybody because we hadn't seen each other for quite a while. And it was a great experience. Roger was there. Tony Dorsett, of course, was there. Tony Hill was there. Aaron Mitchell was there. Cliff Harris was there. So it was a great collection of guys that we played with, and we told a lot of lies and a lot of good stories about what we used to do and how we used to be.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting. I mean, you've played with some of the greats, truly some of the greats, and not only in the pros, but in college. And you recently got inducted. I know Sean mentioned earlier. You got inducted into the Black College Football Hall of Fame. Congratulations!
No, thank
on
you.
that.
Thank you
on that. Tell us about that organization and tell us about your induction recently.
Well, the organization was started by Doug Williams. And he saw a need to celebrate the black athlete. You have to understand that when black colleges were playing football at a very high level, those were the best football players in the world. They're coming out of black colleges, in part because in the South they weren't admitting black colleges into Alabama and the Georgias or the like. And so they were playing football at historically black colleges. Well, if you transition to present day, a lot of those athletes will never be recognized by the mainstream Hall of Fame associations because those records are not very well kept in those historically black colleges. So Doug Williams saw that need to create that environment that will allow us to reach back and help those players be recognized for what they did on the football field. A lot of them went on to play, had great pro careers. players, but some of them didn't. And so he just felt like it was something that was necessary, and he needed to create an environment in which we could recognize those players from those years.
And what was that induction like for you? How did that go? How was the celebration?
Oh, it was wonderful. It exceeded my expectations. What they did first is they sent us for Media Day, which was the Celebration Bowl that was held on December 15th to 16th there at the Atlanta Stadium. And so we went there for that first, and then we came back for the actual induction about a month later. But the festivities surrounding the event, the photo ops that we did, the press conferences that we had was just amazing. And then we went to the UPS World Headquarters and got to meet with some of those employees and do those kinds of things, and did some charitable things while we were there as well. So the event itself was amazing, and I'm still on cloud nine over it.
Deconstructing Dallas, Ryan Trimble, Sean Williams, sitting down with former Cowboys great Timmy Newsome. We're going to be right back. We're going to talk about some of your other accolades when we get back. Stick with us.
A stroke? Call 911 fast. For more, go to strokeassociation.org.
We are back deconstructing Dallas. Ryan Trimble, Sean Williams. We wanted to continue our conversation with former Dallas Cowboy great Timmy Newsome, and we talked a lot about your football career, which was great on a college and professional level, but you know, there are a lot of athletes who the story kind of ends there for a lot of them. But for you, you've gone on to have a successful business career. I wanted to specifically start off by learning and telling our audience and those people who don't know this part about you about New Tech Business Solutions, which is now in its 28th year. Can you talk about even founding that company, a little bit about what you do and kind of enlighten us on that?
Yeah, I would love to. Well, first of all, I got to go back to the beginning. I majored in business administration and minored in computer science at Winston-Salem State University. And so when I got to Dallas, I had finished that season, and player personnel director Gil Brandt, who's going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame later this year, asked me what I wanted to do in the off season, and I told him I wanted to be a computer programmer. So he assisted me in finding a job, so I did that. So my second year, I go into his office, I show him my pay stub, and I said, Gil, let me ask you a question. Please tell me why I'm playing football. And he said, well, don't forget, I got you this job.
Yeah.
So in those days, we didn't make a lot of money playing professional sports. My base salary my rookie year was $30,000. My base salary my second year was only $40,000. So in technology, it was far more lucrative than it was playing football in those days. So I did that my entire career. We sold computer software to banks and ATM machines, to be specific. And then once I retired, I decided to open up my own business in 1991. And so what we do today is that we are a managed services company specializing in unified communications and collaboration products and services. Mm-hmm. So basically, we take voice over IP telephone systems and we put them in businesses, and we also integrate software with it. So we have call centers and customer service type operations that use those two elements to create a better framework to manage their stakeholders and customers.
How have you seen the industry change? I mean, 1991, you've seen a lot of hardware, software. I mean, we're on virtual reality now. I was just in a Walmart store. Walmart's one of our clients. They've got shelf scanning robots doing all sorts of stuff. So tell us about the industry.
Well, I think the biggest advancement that's in the industry is the creation of the internet, by far, because now what it does is it brings everybody together in a much more cohesive unit, and you don't necessarily have to always be present to transact business. So the internet by far was the greatest single investment. And then there's always going to be software. And fortunately for me, I had always loved to do software, even when I played football in the off season. And so those advances, I think, are uniquely qualified to bring to bear the kinds of services that businesses need to be innovative and relevant.
When you look at football players and careers, football careers are short and have much shorter than even than when you played. And so it's important for athletes to have something else to look forward to as far as a career. So do you have an opportunity to talk to other, younger guys or athletes to maybe let them know how you've been able to form a new career?
Well, it's difficult to do because the problem is when they go to these colleges, they're limited in many instances in what they can major in. Can you imagine receiving a football scholarship and then going to college and they tell you education is important, and they say, well, by the way, you can only major in these 4 subjects because football is what you are here to do. And so when they get out, many of them are at a complete disadvantage if they don't go pro football. So now they have to find a second career or go back to school to learn something a little bit more meaningful. And so once they are done with the game, there's a certain amount of depression that could exist as a result of them not making it into the next level. And so what I've been trying to do is to bring an awareness on how that process takes place and to basically, bring that awareness to say, look, while these guys are in college, let's make sure that they have meaningful majors and things to do. What the National Football League has done is that when a player's days are over, a player can get $20,000 a year towards their education if they don't have a degree. If they have a degree, they can get a master's. Whatever they like to do, the National Football League will give them $20,000 a year towards a degree or higher education, which is, I think, is a tremendous benefit for the player.
Yeah, and it just makes sense. I mean, the players are giving them the league so much. I mean, that's the lifeblood of the league, and so that's good to hear and good to know that you're leading on that front. Tell us about some of your other charitable endeavors. I know you're leading on a lot of fronts. One of our co-owners here at Allen Media, Jennifer Pascal, and through some of her charitable endeavors. Tell us about your other focuses in the charity space.
Well, Jennifer and I were on the same board at Friends of Wednesday's Child, and that's where we collaborated and met. And then I transitioned on to an organization called Children at Risk, where I chair the advisory board here in Dallas. And what we do, we're an advocacy organization that caters to children's causes. We do educational type outreach. We provide kind of a handbook for parents to do a measure of school guide and how schools are rate and rank their rankings in the state of Texas amongst their peers. And we kind of use that platform that is created by the Texas Education Agency to do that. So we also deal with human trafficking. We have tours to show people where those hot spots are to where malicious activity takes place. And then we also deal with school nutrition, recess, and things of that nature. So I've been very much involved in that over the past 7 years and look forward to continuing that effort and trying to bring a greater awareness to those children to issues.
I know you've spent some time on the board at your alma mater, Winston-Salem, as well. Can you talk about, how you're seeing that institution go, and even in a larger context, there's a conversation about historically black colleges and the role that they play today?
Sure. I was fortunate enough to be vice chairman of the board of trustees at Winston-Salem State University, and it was a really good experience for me because I had an opportunity to see firsthand some of the problems that existed while I was playing.
Okay.
And so I just set about trying to change some of those things and make it a little bit more students centered. A lot of times we kind of lose sight of how that works. And so I just wanted to make sure that those customer service aspects of college life were adhered to, and that we could have a platform where students can voice their grievance as to what they thought college life should look like while they were there.
Sean, he's truly a Renaissance man. I mean, I don't know what you don't do, Timmy. I mean,
you look like you could be good for about 10 or 15 carries a game right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I read that you play tennis and you do some long distance running and things like that. But I mean, I don't know what you're doing. But something is.
I wouldn't want to try to tackle it. I know that.
Well, one of the unique things about what I've been able to accomplish is that I think I got out of football at the right time. I played 9 years, probably could have played another 3 or 4. So I left the game healthy. Mm-hmm. And so the things I did before I played professional football, I can do now. I play tennis.